What is up, Edison duelists? This is Dionysus, aka Young Puds, coming at you guys with some more shameless hype beast Gigavise content. So, obviously, I think I have put out just enough content that maybe you are believing that Gigavise is an invincible deck, that you will be unstoppable if you just play correctly. And while that is mostly true, I live in reality. I don't know about you guys. And the reality is that Yu-Gi-Oh! Is a card game that does have a lot of variance in it. Even the best player, which I certainly do not purport to be, is going to lose some games sometimes. So, I actually did lose several games the other day, so I thought it would be a great idea for us to just go through these games. We'll see if I made any mistakes. Perhaps these were winnable games. We'll see if it was an unwinnable situation that better deck building or siding choices might have gotten us out of. And hopefully this will all help us improve and be better Gigavise duelists, and we can actually one day achieve the impossible of never losing another game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Again. So let's just jump right into it. First up, we have a mirror match here, and I've opened pretty decent. I'm seeing a double Super Solar Nutrient hand. I'm seeing a Hidden Armory. I'm seeing a Lonefire Blossom. So pretty straightforward. I just want to HA and go for a Supervise probably, but I do mill the Mark of the Rose. And that has me thinking a little bit, and I actually do think Mark of the Rose is correct here. Next turn, I'm going to be able to fire the Lonefire Blossom to go right into maybe just a Titanial for protection, maybe a Gigaplant, and then I can do Mark, banish the Lonefire, bring it back with DDR, discarding Dandelion, and now my Super Solar Nutrients are live. So I think this is a pretty defensible play. I definitely don't have a problem with it. What is our opponent going to do? Looks like we're up against a mirror match, so our opponent is just going to HA and get a Mark of the Rose of their own. I think his plan is going to be to kind of let us set up, survive with that Mirror Force, and then win from there. We're going to go ahead and upstart Goblin drawing into a Nettles. That's going to be no help for the back row, but because I kind of have some more gas left over in the tank with the Mark with the DDR, I am going to just go ahead and try and play into it. So just like I said, I am in a Lonefire for that Titanial, and then I'm going to go ahead and swing in since he doesn't have anything for me to steal. We're going to get met with a Mirror Force. That's fine. We've wasted the Mirror Force. We still have live combo with Mark, DDR, Dandy, Super Solar. So we're just kind of waiting for him to put a monster on the field. And he is unfortunately not going to do anything face up for us. So we're going to have to play a little smart here, a little tricky. He is going to set something, and I'm going to go ahead and run the Nettles into it. If it's a Dandelion, hey, now I've got something to mark, and it is. If it was something a little bigger, then we would have just bounced off it and I'd still have something to mark. So no matter what, I'm going to be able to build a board here. So I will mark, steal a token, and then I'm going to Super Solar Nutrient to get rid of the token, bring out Lonefire, discarding Dandelion to get the second Lonefire. And man, I am feeling like I am in a pretty good position here. I'm going to Lonefire once for Gigaplant, and then I'm going to Lonefire again for Copy Plant. Copy Plant's going to copy Gigaplant, and we are going to go into a Power Tool Dragon. Power Tool Dragon is going to show us 3 Supervises, one of which we're going to get into our hand, and then we're going to equip the Gigaplant, summon the Titanial, and then I'm going to bring out the Catastor. Catastor is really nice in this kind of matchup because it can stop Titanial. Gigaplant can't get over it. You know, he'll have to kind of find his way to a Stardust. So I'm feeling pretty good about this. He's going to have the Heavy Storm, which is going to make us just a little bit weaker. He's going to go ahead and Mark the Rose, which is going to force out our Titanial activation. And then he's just going to set a Miracle Fertilizer and pass. We do have to look out because he is going to get Lonefire to his hand next turn. We're going to draw. We do draw an MST to clear that back row away. We're going to fire the Power Tool Dragon. See if we can find just a little more gas. Hitting that 2/3 Supervise is always going to be good. And of course we do, folks. 66% rounds up to 100%. So we're going to fire our Miracle Fertilizer, and he is going to scoop it up from there. So going into game 2, you know we've sided in. We probably have an AAU sided in. He does have this very scary Morphing Jar number 2 coming at us. I live in constant fear of that card. Our opponent is going to try and DDR to bring back a Lonefire. We have the MST for it, but he has the Solemn Judgement to stop that, and now he is going to be free to combo. We are going to DD Crow to try and slow him down a little, but as you can see, he does have that second DDR. So Clearly I didn't watch my video where I talked about how Gigavise just doesn't care about DD Crow, because here I am citing it in anyways, and now our opponent is just going to push for 8,000 points of damage. There's nothing we can do to stop it. So going into game 3, we're at least going to get to go first, and I'm really hoping to see some combo here. We could maybe get there, and man, does that feel bad, folks. Milling the nettles off of HA. If I had just held the HA, I would have drawn it, and then I would have had combo, but there's no real way of knowing that. I think it's still correct to HA there. There's a lot of other high roll targets, and I am fortunate enough to hit a Lonefire Blossom here, and now, of course, I'm wishing I'd gotten like a Mark of the Rose to banish the Lonefire, then the second HA could get a DDR. But nevertheless, you know, I was just trying my best. I think it's really important to get that AAU online as early as possible. Of course, my opponent is definitely going to play around it now, so maybe you could argue it would be better to just hold the one HA to get the AAU when I need it. But here we are. Our opponent has fired an HA of their own. He is now sitting on that Mark of the Rose DDR combo, always threatening to see, especially with a Dandelion in hand backing it up. He does have a Torrential Tribute for some good defense. We draw an MST, which would be nice if we have combo, but since we don't, we're just going to set the MST and see if we can use it as interruption, and at the very least, we can chain it to get rid of his set card there. And if it's an MST of his own, you know, I'm fine trading an MST for an MST. Our opponent is going to fire the Upstart Goblin, drawing into Copy Plant. Still no help there. Now he's going to be setting the Dandelion. We are going to draw into a Raigeki break, so we have some interruption. I feel like we're not losing just yet, and now our opponent is going to just pass after drawing another Dandelion. So we're going to draw a Trap Dust Shoot. I'm very happy to see that. I'm in danger of... Oh, folks, you know, I don't even know. I don't know why I would do this here. Doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I guess I'm just trying to push in for game, so I'm going to go ahead and Raigeki break, discarding the Titanial. I guess I have the read that that's a Dandelion, and so we're getting the tokens up online, and now I'm going to try an AAU the Dandelion. Why not just Mark of the Rose a token and then Super Solar from there? This seems super incorrect. Yeah, I think this might be what costs us here. No reason to give him the extra tokens. No reason to waste the AAU. We could have just used Mark of the Rose to steal a token. So, huge misplay there. Catastrophic error. I guess I'm thinking, okay, well, if I can just get, you know, Power Tool Titanial up, I'll be able to stop his combos, especially with that Trap Dust Shoot. But, folks, I think this is definitely an error. I also think going for the Power Tool here is super, super greedy. I think you just want to go for the Titanial. Titanial is going to stop our opponent from comboing off. It's going to stop their Mark of the Rose. And if this Power Tool misses, that's just really bad for us. Like, having a DDR isn't going to really matter if our opponent is going to be able to successfully combo, and we're kind of giving it to them on a silver platter. And we do miss that 2/3. So, you know, even if we hit the 2/3, I think this is a really, really just suspect line. Like, I'm holding the Super Solar Nutrient for what? Like, it's life. Just Mark of the Rose, banish the Nettles. Who cares? We don't need the Nettles. Or even banish the Lonefire Blossom. We're going to get another one. And we already have everything you want to summon off in the mix. So yeah, I think the correct play there is definitely just to mark a token and tribute it with our own Super Solar Nutrient. We'd still have the AAU for some crackback. And now we fire the Trap Dust Shoot, and we see that our opponent just doesn't have a ton in their hand. We are going to put back the Copy Plant. Not sure if that's correct. I mean, I guess that's stopping him from synchro summoning if he does mark my Gigaplant. So, maybe there, but, you know, we were definitely hoping to hit something a little bit better. He is going to steal our Gigaplant, and then he is going to go ahead and normal summon it to get that Dandelion into his hand, and then he is going to upstart and draw a Super Solar Nutrient, just about the best draw he could ask for. And, you know, you got to think, if we hadn't stolen the AAU, if we had just done a Mark of the Rose, steal the token, he wouldn't have a target now for the Super Solar Nutrient. So this is definitely a pretty big throw. And folks, this is why it's important to reveal review your replays. You got to understand why you made the mistakes that you did that cost you the game, so you don't make them again. And here, this is just plain and simple greed straight up with AAU that just costs us the game. You know, you want to be using your resources smart and efficiently and well. And even though we're not out, like we're clearly so far behind here, I'm going to choose to mark the rows, banishing the Gigaplant to steal the Stardust Dragon, and then I'm going to DDR to bring back the Gigaplant, normal summon it, and summon out Titanial. So just trying to establish some kind of board presence, but he's going to have a Mirror Force. We are going to negate it with a Stardust Dragon, so we can at least get the Lonefire off the field, but we're going to give him back the 2 Dandelion tokens. So the field isn't even clear. That Raigeki Break is no help to us because we don't have any cards in hand. So, and he gets the Stardust back. So the Gigaplant is going to get cleared no matter what. And it does look pretty bad because our opponent has not 1, but 2 Miracle Fertilizers. So he is going to be able to establish a stronger field, and we are going to be absolutely helpless against that. So yeah, here you go. Our opponent summons a Titanial. And then he is going to run over our Gigaplant with his Stardust and then crash the Titanials together. So we are definitely in bad shape. He has a Miracle Fertilizer ready for next turn. He's saying, you know, like, you've used all your gas. I don't even care. I'm leaving the Lonefires up. And folks, he's absolutely right. We're going to draw into a Gold Sark that is going to be no help, and we are going to be forced to concede. So that was the first match. Let's see this next one that we lost. This looks like it's up against, well, it could be Blackwing, it could be Vayu. I'm leaning Vayu with that hand, but those are cards that Blackwing plays as well. So we're going to start our turn and go ahead and fire the HA, milling that Super Solar Nutrient that would have looked real nice to go with our Copy Plant. And then we are going to set a Raigeki Break and pass it back to our opponent. So a lot of things we could draw, but we are definitely still looking for combo here. Our opponent is going to set his Raikou as well as a Solemn Judgement and a Mirror Force. So we draw into our second Super Solar Nutrient, which I'm happy to see, but I don't want to commit it into the back row. It's just too risky, and you know, it looks like he's starting slow with just the Raikou. So our opponent now is going to summon the Vayu and check for Gores real quick. We are either going to be holding our Gores or dropping it. And now we are going to go ahead and Gold Sark for Giant Trunade to try and find an out. And now we just need to survive long enough to get that Trunade to our hand. Can we do it? Maybe. Maybe. We get a Sirocco on field. He'll take 2,000, and then we upstart into Heavy Storm. So, hey, now we can just combo right away, right? Wrong. He's got the Solemn Judgment. That's going to shut us down. Now, he does draw into the Armageddon Knight here, which is going to be pretty catastrophic for us. He's going to flip the Raikou and just mill. It doesn't hit a Sirocco like he maybe was looking for, but he is going to Armageddon Knight for the Plague Spreader Zombie, bring it back, and Synchro for a level 4 monster like Armory Arm, and that is going to be enough damage for game. And even though we did have that Giant Trunade coming next turn, it was just too slow and couldn't get things going. So, you know, maybe even if we'd set the Copy Plant there, it would have gotten blown up. Maybe we could have tried some bluffing back rows, but that was definitely a hard match. Our opponent just kind of had everything that he needed, and there wasn't a lot we could do. Now here, speaking of everything that you need, we are drawing into Giant Trunade or Hidden Armoring for Supervise, and we already had the Lonefire in our hand. So I'm feeling pretty good about this game too. Our opponent does have Dad and Royal Oppression, which are definitely good cards for a Vayu player to see, and he's going to choose to just set the Royal Oppression. Now, that's perfectly fine with us. We have the Trunade, so we will put it back in hand, and then we are going to go ahead and start our Lonefire combo. We are going to Lonefire into Gigaplant, give Gigaplant the Supervise, and it is game 2, so I am concerned about Fossil Dyna, so I'll just summon that Nettles from hand, make a Stardust Dragon, and now the Gigaplant is going to come back. So we are going to swing into his set. It is a hamster, and then we are going to run over the hamster with the Gigaplant. He's going to choose to just mill because we have that Stardust Dragon on the field, so we will then set one card and pass it back to our opponent. He's going to draw into a Mystical Space Typhoon, which is definitely going to be a big problem for us. That's just such a clear answer. He is going to go ahead and try and destroy the Raigeki Break. We're going to Stardust Dragon to protect it. That way we'll also get the Stardust coming back a little bit later. That could be really good for us. And then our opponent is going to go ahead and Armageddon Knight to send the value. That goes really well with the Sirocco in graveyard. And then he's going to crash into our Gigaplant to get himself to 3 darks in grave and summon that Dark Armed Dragon right away. Definitely going to present a pretty big problem for us. He is going to go ahead and banish the second one and clear our field. So he needs to find a Blackwing in graveyard to get the value live, but and we do have the Dark Armed off the field, and we do have the Stardust coming back. But that Torrential, you know, if he just all he has to do is bait out the Stardust negate with Torrential, and then Oppression can stop the Stardust from coming back. So we're definitely in a pretty bad spot, especially considering we just drew Titanial. That's not going to help. We need like a Mark of the Rose to get DDR alive, so we've kind of got 2 dead cards in our hand. Meanwhile, our opponent does have that other Sirocco that he needs to get things going live. He is going to try and just force the negate from Stardust Dragon. We are going to go ahead and do that. I feel like there's no downside. And then our opponent is going to go to end phase and show us exactly what the downside actually is. So here we're going to draw into Dust Shoot, which definitely is too little too late. I think, you know, Dust Shoot's tricky. Sometimes it's really good to side it out. Here I left it in because, you know, going first against Vayu, having the Dust Shoot's really good. But top decking it in a situation like this is definitely not so great. Our opponent is going to set a Dust Tornado as well, so even though we are able to, you know, try and get things going here with this Mark of the Rose, our opponent is going to be able to have an answer to that. So we have a Gigaplant vanished, and now we just need to survive for 1 more turn. Looks like our opponent doesn't quite have enough to game us immediately, so we are going to get just a little bit of a chance to live, but with DDR up, or Royal Oppression up, DDR is not going to help us. So we top deck a Dandy so we can try and just live just a little bit longer. But our opponent does have the Gale, so he is going to go ahead and summon the Gale and bring out Dark End Dragon. I don't have enough life points to negate that summon, so he's going to be able to just destroy our Dandy. And now he can Vayu back for an Armed Wing and kill the 2 tokens and then attack for game. So that is going to be it for this Vayu matchup. We draw, we see that, oh, hey, there's that Heavy Storm 1 turn too late. And so here, I think when I went for the Stardust Dragon, maybe if I had gone a little more aggressively and then got some good rolls on Power Tool Dragon, we might have been in a little better of a spot. You know, if we hadn't negated the MST and he still had the Stardust up, Stardust Dragon would have been able to negate and destroy Dad. So there are definitely some plays that we could have made a little better. But I gotta be honest, folks, that was a rough game. Sometimes you are gonna draw a DDR that's not gonna be useful. Draw a Titanial, draw a Brick Dust Shoot. These are definitely things that can cost you a game. So let's go into this next one. This looks like our opponent is on some sort of Fairy Lightsworn build, so definitely a tough matchup for us. Opening very strong with the Gores already in hand, and then firing the charge of the Light Brigade to find a Lila. He'll normal summon the Card Trooper and mill 3. I'm happy to see a Herald of Orange Light already in graveyard. That's 1 less Herald to worry about. And we are going to draw our 6th card into a pretty mediocre hand. We do have the Lonefire, which is nice, but we are really hoping to find a Supervise. We do find the Hidden Armory, and we have the Threatening Roar, so it looks like we're going to be able to live long enough to see some use for that Hidden Armory. So we'll get our Supervise, and then we'll set our Threatening Roar. So again, we can live another turn. Our opponent is going to summon the Lila, and here, well, he'll mill first, and then here I let him attack, and this is definitely a mistake. So once again, you see that mistakes can cost you. You really, in any time, obviously you don't want to be making mistakes, but Gigavise is a deck that really demands pretty tight, perfect play. So here, I know he's going to have the Lila to destroy the Threatening Roar, so there's no reason to let him attack. Like, he's going to battle phase, he's going to choose to attack. And now I'm going to take the damage. Main phase 2, I'll lose the Threatening Roar anyways. I might as well have just flipped it and saved the life. And then, even better, folks, I would have been able to, fire the Lonefire once, go into Gigaplant, and then, mark to steal the Lila. So, he could have chained the Karma Cut, but at least I think we would be in a slightly better position. So we are going to summon out the Gigaplant. He is going to chain Karma Cut to our Supervise, so we're going to lose the Gigaplant. Silver lining is it is going to be live in the future with DDR, and now we're forced to just steal the Card Trooper, which never feels good. I'm going to go ahead and mill 3, see if I can catch something, maybe like a Titanial to bring back with Fur a little stronger. Maybe just mill out some things that I don't want to see, and I mill the SSN, which would have been great to go with the Copy Plant. I mill the Trunade, which would have been great to go with the Fertilizer, and I mill the Supervise, which you just never want to mill. So, not feeling super good about those mills. I also don't know if it was correct to mill, and then we're just going to have to give the Card Trooper back. So, we are definitely behind here, folks. He is going to go ahead and Monster Reincarnation to get the Christia back, and let's do a quick count. I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4 fairies, so he is going to be able to drop Christia uncontested. He'll have the Compulse to back it up, and that is going to be enough for us to scoop it up and go to game 2. So let's see what our opponent has for us here. Let's see if we can get something going. We get to go first, which is very nice. We do draw the Trap Dust Shoot, which I'm also feeling good about. We're going to upstart Goblin here. You want to upstart Goblin, I think, before the Hidden Armory, because perhaps you will draw something that's going to inform your decision for HA, especially because I already have the Supervise. If I draw Mark or DDR, I want to get one or the other. So I'll fire the upstart, and now here I am in an HA, and look at that. We are so good at this game. We have gotten a Lonefire mill, so we're just going to get a second Supervise. And now we are going to go right ahead and Fertilizer, bring back our Lonefire, Giant Trunade to put the Fertilizer back in our hand for further extension. That might be a little greedy, folks. We'll see. We are then going to go ahead and make a Gigaplant, give it Supervise, bring back Lonefire Blossom. We already have a second Supervise here, so we can safely make a Power Tool Dragon, putting it in attack to play around Aaron. And then we are going to reveal 2 marks and another Supervise. We get a mark, and now we are going to Supervise for Titanial and then set Dust Shoot, get Gores out of his hand, but he still has the Lila Honest combo, which is definitely a problem for us. He's going to set those 2 back row, and we are aware of exactly what they are. And oh, he didn't shuffle after the Gores. So he correctly shuffles, and then he's going to get the correct mill, which is what it should be. And then in draw phase, he is going to Call of the Haunted to bring back the Freed, and then fire the Torrential Tribute. So there goes our board. We do know, however, that our opponent just has Honest, so I'm still feeling okay about this. We just need to stick a monster and then go. Our opponent does just scoop after he sees that we still have the Fertilizer. I don't know if that's necessarily correct. If he just draws 1 light, he can clear whatever I summon, and then, with Honest, and then I don't have the Fertilizer, so I'm still top decking, but I think he just knows that he's got a favored matchup against Gigavise. So let us just jump right into the last game. Our opponent is going to start off with a Jane, and we are going to start off with almost combo. I'd love to see Trunade, Supervise, Super Solar, but now we just need a way to get it live. Hopefully the Threatening Roar will buy us some time, but we are definitely in trouble. Our opponent already has Christia and Honest, so he just needs to find his way to 4 fairies in the graveyard. And then we are going to be forced to have to Book of Moon to get our way out of it. We are going to draw a Hidden Armory. I'm going to go ahead and use its effect, hoping to mill a Dandelion. We don't see that, but I'm going to pick up a Mark of the Rose, the most useful equip since we already have Supervise. Our opponent is going to flip up his Raikou to deal with our Threatening Roar. We'll chain it just to keep us in the game. And he is going to pass it back to us. Here we are going to draw the Gold Sarcophagus, and now I'm thinking, man, maybe it's correct to get a DDR in a vacuum like this. Like, with no plants in the graveyard, it is always possible that I draw Gold Sarcophagus. So if we had gotten DDR off that Hidden Armory, we'd be able to, if not win on this turn, we'd certainly be able to play. We can True Nade, you know, we'd be able to maybe find a mark off of Power Tool Dragon, do something crazy like mark the Raikou, Book of Moon it to use its effects to clear the Jane, play around Honest. So definitely a shame. Instead, we're just going to have to try and wait until that Lonefire finds its way to our hand, and our opponent is going to be putting us on the clock, swinging in with Raikou, Jane, and now Freed. And this is putting us dangerously low, all the way down to 2,500 life points. We need to find another Threatening Roar. We need to find something just to live, and maybe Dandelion could do it. You know, that's going to generate us some tokens. And unfortunately for us, our opponent is going to have the MST for the Book of Moon in end phase. So Book of Moon is going to be no help. And he is going to go ahead and use Plague Spreader Zombie to summon out a Bryonac. Bryonac is going to get rid of that Dandelion, and that's going to be it. So big mistake here. In a vacuum with no plants in grave, I don't think Mark of the Rose is correct. I think DDR is correct because, of course, just like we did, you could draw Gold Sark. So big lesson there. I think that was definitely a winnable match that we threw. Don't make the same mistake, guys. And now the last match we have for you guys today. This looks like it is up against Diva Hero, a deck that, I'll be honest, folks, I generally kind of disrespect. Here, we're going to Gold Sark for a Hidden Armory. I think I'm thinking, okay, I have these two Threatening Roars. I want to just fire the Lonefire Blossom, live long enough, and then HA plus Fertilizer for combo later. Definitely a little risky. You know, I think maybe it could be better to just Gold Sark the other Lonefire Blossom and then summon out a Gigaplant. Normal summon the Gigaplant, bring back the Lonefire, get Copy Plant, get the guaranteed Supervise search, and then I still have the Lonefire in my hand. And I can probably protect the Power Tool Dragon with Threatening Roar, but we got to live with our decisions, and this is what I decided to do. So here we're going to Lonefire into Lonefire. I also think this is a little suspect. I'm going directly into Gigaplant, super greedy here. Titanium might be better, but I'm thinking, okay, well, Gigaplant's definitely going to live. I have the Threatening Roar. Our opponent is going to say, well, I'm not so sure about that. Let's see what we can do. I have this Brain Control here, so I can just take your Gigaplant. I'll swing in for 24. I say, okay, that's fine. I'll let that live. And then he Kaises it. So now we have once again wasted a Threatening Roar. Feels really, really bad. Main phase 2, he'll E-Call to get Stratos going. And now we are definitely playing from the back foot. We draw into a Nettles, and here we're going to set the second Threatening Roar. So at least we're going to live long enough to get this Hidden Armory off. But we are going to have to contest with his Phoenix Wing Wind Blast. So our opponent is going to go ahead and fire the Stratos to get himself a Malicious, a perfect discard target with that Phoenix Wing Wind Blast. Attack in to bring us down to just 1,400 life points, and we're going to draw a Mirror Force. So is that going to be enough to let us live? Is that going to be sufficient protection? We'll see. We are going to go ahead and fire the Fertilizer and bring back the Gigaplant, and now we'll commit the Hidden Armory as well, and we'll get a Supervise. I'm thinking, okay, this is great. And here our opponent stops us, chaining the Phoenix Wing Wind Blast to the Supervise. And here, folks, this was another case of just textbook greed. If I had gone Miracle Fertilizer for Lonefire Blossom and then summoned the second Gigaplant, when he chains the Wing Blast, the Supervise would be able to bring back the Gigaplant that was still in graveyard. But no, folks, I was thinking, you know, I want this Fertilizer to stick around another turn, so I'm just going to summon back the Gigaplant and get Titanial out. So super, super greedy play into back row, definitely getting punished for it. I think the questionable decisions in this match have just really stacked up. And, you know, I think it's also really interesting because the quote-unquote best play in Gigavise is oftentimes, it's a little hard to see. You know, I think I did have a reason to make all of these plays, but now we can see with the benefit of hindsight that my reasoning was just incorrect. That's 2 Darks in the graveyard for Dark Armed, so I am definitely feeling unsafe here. We also just don't have a lot going on. We're top deck into a Gigaplant. We knew that was coming. Now I'm thinking, okay, I've just got to normal summon the Nettles. Maybe I can keep it around with a Threatening Roar, and then we can tribute summon for Gigaplant and try and get something going like that. Going to be way easier said than done. Our opponent is going to just reinforcement of the army to find an Armageddon Knight. That Armageddon Knight is going to put that third dark in the graveyard. He's going to now have a Dark Arm Dragon, so he'll be able to clear the back row. We're going to train Threatening War, so we at least get to live for a turn, but now he's just going to Mind Control, and we scoop it up right there. We don't even bother to look at our next card. I think that might be a little bit of a mistake. A Mark of the Rose would have been pretty good there. Definitely still would have been behind, but we might have had something. I'm thinking like Mark of the Rose, Steel Dad, DDR to bring back Gigaplant. Normal summon Gigaplant, summon Copy Plant, Synchro summon with the Dad. So definitely plays, but maybe not enough. We are going to draw, and this is just a not a good hand. You know, we've got a lot of pieces, but we're waiting for a Lonefire access to really be able to do anything here, or even a plant in the graveyard to tribute summon Gigaplant. So meanwhile, our opponent is open perfectly strong with a Stratos. I do think that the Diva Hero deck has a much lower ceiling than our deck, but they also are more consistent. I have to give them that. We're going to draw another Supervise for turn, and we're going to be forced to just discard the Gigaplant for hand size. That never feels good, folks, especially when our opponent is going to follow up with the Greffer, pitch the Mally, summon out another Mally. Oh, he's pitching the Mally to summon the Greffer, and then he has a Diva to summon, which is even worse for us. That is going to be enough for game damage, very explosive play, and we had just no counterplay. So I think, as you can see from these matches, folks, definitely a lot of these losses were for preventable mistakes. So now that you've seen these mistakes, I expect you all to not make them yourselves. Sometimes they were just due to variance, but I gotta say, overall, folks, I think it is just never worth saying, oh, well, I just lost because of variance. You always want to try and find something that you could have done differently, some choice that you could have made. This isn't just true in Yu-Gi-Oh, folks. This is true in life. There's always going to be things that are out of your control, and it's just not worth putting energy into them. Put your energy into the things that you can control, and you will see better results in Yu-Gi-Oh, in life. Anyways, not to get too philosophical for you, this has been Dionysus, aka Young Puds, with some shameless Hypebeast Gigavise content. Learn from my mistakes, get out there, win some games.